So we got just 1 week left until Christmas, and we'll finally know the answer to this murder mystery on which of these 6 women killed this man who we don't know. And this has been going on since February, so we've had a lot of time to work out who this person's going to be. And yet I've kept changing my mind, and believe it or not, since I last made a video, I've changed my mind again. So this is going to be my final prediction of what I think is going to happen and who I think it's going to be and who I think the killer's going to be. So in my last video, based on the previous whodunits of EastEnders, normally the answer is someone that's been in the show since the whodunit started and that the show hasn't suggested the entire time the whodunit's been going on. That's normally how EastEnders done it. And based off that information, I came up with 8 prime suspects. That wasn't the 7 that the show's trying to suggest. I said that the 8 people it could be are Zach, Howie, Vinny, Harvey, Mitch, Callum, Felix and Reese. And in my last video I concluded that it was going to be Callum. I've changed my mind. And I'll tell you why. Because of this Aunt Sal's funeral that's going to happen next year, why would Ben go to Aunt Sal's funeral when his husband's just died? Or it just seems like awkward timing. Like, why would they do that? So as much as I wanted this Lola's picture to be a clue that the murdered victim was related to Lola, this Aunt Sal's funeral has ruined that, because I don't think any Mitchell being dead would make sense now. But out of the other 7, I was really wondering who it could be. And we've also had no new male characters since my last video, because I guess it's, we're getting close to Christmas now. They're not going to suggest any new people at this point. I saw one theory that was basically my original theory, that it's Martin. And the reason why is because if you go back to Christmas 2019, the episode ends with the same music from the flash forward, the Stay Another Day song.
He's dead.
And it ends with showing Martin's face. And so maybe that's a hint that it's Martin that dies. And I love that theory because it would mean my original theory is correct. And I'd want to say Martin, I really do now, but it's not. I'll tell you why. This Stay Another Day music hasn't just been a thing only used this year and 2019. They've used it most years since 2019, and it's had no connection to Martin consistently that I can see. Also, Martin's been in the show forever, so EastEnders doesn't normally have the balls to just kill off someone that's been in the show for a long time. Now, since my last video, Mitch has left the show with Karen and the kids and everyone except Bernie and Keanu. And I feel sorry for, oh, what's her name? Oh, Bailey. Her name is Bailey. I had to go look that up. But no wonder I had to go look that up. They haven't done anything with her for the last 2 years. So Bailey's gone as well. And considering they've played the music they normally play at the end when a character's left for good, I don't think Mitch is going to come back at Christmas and die. I think you'd be silly to think that now. And also, because of episode descriptions after the Christmas, there are now men we know it can't be. And I don't know why they tell us this. These are all men I thought it was going to be, and I just feel silly now. Okay, so I know it's kind of cheating to like look at the episode description of future episodes, but they're supposed to be careful and not like naming men in these episode descriptions to like not give away that it can't be them. But so far, on the 27th of December, the episode description is, "The nightmare continues for the 6th. Felix spots a business opportunity." Well, how can Felix spot a business opportunity if he's dead? He can't, so it's not Felix. And on the 9th of January 2024, it says Lauren has an important decision to make. Gina lines Jay up with a running coach, and Peter gets a request. Now, we already know it couldn't be Jay because of the funeral leaks. But Peter? It could have been Peter, technically. I guess it can't be Peter now. I'm sorry if you thought it was Peter, but let's be honest, you didn't. And on the 11th of January 2024, it says George gives Elaine advice. Sam ruffles feathers by asking some difficult questions, and Zach gets defensive. This one hit the hardest because I was making the video and I was going to say it's Zach, and I was so sure it was going to be Zach because some of the other episode descriptions are about how hard of a time Whitney's having, and I know she's leaving, so I thought maybe the reason is because it's Zach that dies. But no, right here it says Zach gets defensive. He can't get defensive if he's dead. And so, using my logic, it now has to be either Howie, Vinny, Harvey or Reese. One problem with that, Howie, Reese and Harvey are spotted practicing for the choir. So they're all going to be in this choir. Why does that matter? Because the murder's going to happen on Christmas Eve night, and I'll tell you why. You hear the bell chime in the trailer, which to me signals that it's like hit midnight. So I think the murder's gonna be on Christmas Eve night, and then you see their dead body as it hits Christmas Day. And so I think during the murder, Reese, Howie and Harvey are going to be in the choir. There's even an episode description, the episode before Christmas, that says Howie saves the carol concert at the 11th hour. Well, it'd be hard for him to do that if he's in the pub getting killed. And it also says Linda takes control of the situation whilst the other 5 try to suppress that inner torment, which suggests that Linda's like doing something else whilst the other 5 are doing something. What's that about? So anyway, if we assume everyone we see at the choir stays in the choir, the only logical person it can be, that we haven't had proof it can't be, that's been in the show consistently since the mystery started and the show hasn't suggested, the only character that fits that description now is Vinny, so it has to be Vinny. Except, Penny and Lauren are returning, and guess what? They're returning because of recent events. Well, this kind of puts a sting in my throat. That is Vinny, isn't it? Because, I mean, no offence to Vinny, but I don't think Penny and Lauren... I can't say Lauren. I don't think Lauren cares about Vinny. So yeah, Penny and Lauren, they'd only come back if it was Jack that died, right? So then why would they reveal that they're coming back? It's kind of stupid. We know it has to be Jack now. But I want it to be Vinny, so that I'm right. But it has to be Jack. Unless we assume that they've let us in on this information of Penny and Lauren returning because it's not Jack and it's like a red herring trying to trick us. I really hope so. Because right now it's really looking like it's Jack and I want it to be Vinny. But meanwhile, with other clues, I've just watched Monday the 18th, that's as I'm recording it today's, and Alfie's just given everyone cufflinks, which felt like a big middle finger, sort of like the whole theorising I've been doing these last few months. Why would you introduce this cufflinks clue and like pass it around between man and man, just for Alfie to come with this box of them, and Phil goes, hey, they're like the ones I've had all this time. and now like Reese is buying cufflinks, and maybe Martin did, and now all the men are going to have the exact same cufflinks by Christmas, and so it's not even been a clue this entire time, and so I've just been wasting my... Also, based on the episode descriptions, I don't think it's really suggesting that there can be a 7th woman, because I know a lot of people wanted there to be. And there were even theories about how there are certain colours you see in certain shots of episodes. Like for Anna's birthday party, I want to say it was in the pub, you can like see balloons and they were like representing all the colours of the women at that night. And there's like a secret yellow one. And I thought, whoa, actually, recently in Sharon's stag do, Kim is wearing yellow. Does that mean she's the seventh woman? Well, no, because there's a light blue balloon too. So, as much as I was going to say, oh, aha, there is a seventh woman and it's Kim, I think the episode descriptions are right. I think it is just going to be these 6 women. And also, they've done that interview with the 6 actresses in what they called the 6th revealed. And in the end of it, one of them steps forward. It cuts away. One of them steps forward to reveal it's them that's the killer. Which means, despite every theory I've ever done ever, the killer is actually going to be one of the 6. They haven't been lying to us like we expected. Which makes me wonder now if the victim's going to be one of the 7 that it's been suggesting this entire time. Which would make me look really stupid because I haven't theorised it's going to be one of them once. So, what I've done is I've done something I've never done before. I have written down like a mini script of what I roughly think is going to happen, how it's going to link all these 7 men into it, why Penny and Lauren would return if Jack's not dead, and how Vinny will be the one that dies. And this is what I've written. So Bernie's going to be asking Keanu if Karen can come home, and then Keanu's going to uninvite Bernie to the wedding. And then Bernie's then going to go to tell Phil that Keanu was involved in Albie's kidnapping, and this will lead Phil to stop the wedding and tell Sharon what Keanu did. And then after some rows, Sharon out of anger is going to then tell Keanu that he's not Albie's real father in front of everyone in the wedding. And then I think Sharon's going to get married to Phil. And Keanu's going to be devastated with these news, and we are going to be left wondering if he's going to enter the pub that night, but he won't. Meanwhile, Stacey's going to be having dinner with her family. Jack will come over and tell her that he has a lead on Nish being the cause for Eve's disappearance. And then Theo will come knocking on Stacey's door, threatening her after the phone call she gave him threatening him. And then Jack will threaten Theo since he'll be in the house too and make him leave. And then Nish is going to be worried about Jack knowing too much and will ask Ravi to kill him like he did with Eve. Vinny's going to find out what Nish is up to but chooses to keep quiet. Nish then's going to convince Vinny to join Ravi to prove himself, and Vinny is hesitant but he'll agree. Taking Jack to some warehouse, Ravi and Vinny will threaten to kill him, and Jack will beg for his life, saying to Ravi that he owes him after what happened between Ravi and Denise. And then, like with Eve, I think Ravi and Vinny will decide to let him go, but say, you can't come back to Wolford, pretty much the same thing with Eve. And then later that night, Theo will be wandering around the square, and we'll be left wondering if he goes into the pub, but he won't. And then after Christmas, the square are going to be led to believe that Jack is dead along with Eve and going to be killed by Nish. And that will be the reason Penny and Lauren return. And then after accusations about Nish are believed throughout the square, Nish will decide to leave Wolford out of fear of the police investigating or something. And then meanwhile, during that, I think Rocky is going to be living with Sonia and Reese, and he's going to be desperate for money. And so feeling sorry for him, Reese is going to steal more money from his wife Debbie to help Rocky financially. Sonia will catch Reese stealing money from Debbie's account and throw both him and Rocky out in anger. And then we'll be left wondering if either of them will walk into the pub that night. And they won't. Meanwhile, I think Amy has been angry at Dean ever since she found out that he raped her mum. But her finding out and her anger have been off-screen so far to draw away suspicion. She runs away from home sometime before Ravi kidnaps Jack. Jack will blame him and Denise's arguments on the reason she runs away. And this will make Denise even more angry at him. And then later that night, Linda's going to find Amy hiding in the pubs upstairs. And they'll have a little heart-to-heart about what happened to both Linda and Roxy by Dean, and they won't realise it, but Dean will also be upstairs having an affair with Gina, and so Linda and Amy, I think, will catch them, and from some misunderstanding they'll assume that he's raping her, and then out of anger Amy hits Dean over the head with something heavy, and then Dean dies. And then Linda, like out of panic, she starts cleaning up the mess upstairs like we see in the trailer. I guess this idea of mine works as well with Dean is generally raping Gina, but I think it's there's more drama involved if it was a misunderstanding. But it works either way. And then meanwhile, as well, I think in the evening we'll be left wondering which man's going to walk into the pub to confront the six. And during this, most of the Wolford residents will be singing in the choir. And when Ravi and Vinny return, Vinny's going to be like struck with guilt and feels like he's done the wrong thing. And so he'll go into the pub to tell his mum what he's done. But before he enters, Stacey and Denise are going to have an argument about Jack, and it'll get quite heated. And Denise will grab the glass bottle you see her holding in the flash forward and just goes to smash it against Stacey, like she's proper pissed at her. And Stacey will block it with her hands, and then her hands will get covered in blood, and like some of her blood will like splatter everywhere a bit, and like Sharon will get a bit on her wedding dress because she's standing the closest or something. And then by the time Vinny arrives, Denise and Stacey have started to calm down a little. So at the start, I think Vinny's just going to talk to Suki, but eventually the others will overhear. And bearing in mind at this point, Suki is just with the other four and Linda is still upstairs cleaning up the mess. I think Stacey and Denise will be especially interested when they overhear Vinny talking to Suki about Jack. And then Vinny's gonna feel outnumbered and confess to all five of them what's happened. And I think he'll tell them that Ravi killed Eve, because as far as he knows, he did. And so this will make Denise and Stacey even more angry. And he'll also tell them that they were going to kill Jack, but they let him go. And I don't think either Stacey or Denise will believe him. But instead of Stacey or Denise, I think Kathy will be the one to kill him. I think just before all of this, Sonia will like phone her and tell her what Rocky and Reese had done. And so she'll be in a very bad mood at this point. But when she sees Vinny speaking about the awful things he's done, she can only see Nish in him and what Nish has done with blackmailing Rocky. I think Kathy's going to tell him he's just as bad as his father, and Vinny will start defending his father because of his own family pride. And Kathy will lose it and smash his head with something, and this will kill him as it hits midnight and the bells are heard. And Linda will hear this noise and come down the stairs, and the rest of the flash forward will play as usual. And yeah, that's my rough idea of what I think is going to happen. So I guess we'll finally know at Christmas whether I'm right or not. If it turns out to be Martin, I'm going to really regret not sticking to my original theory. But yeah, I'll see you all when we finally know. And yeah, thank you.